A senior Russian official has criticized U.S. President Donald Trump, claiming he lacks a clear understanding of the ongoing war in Ukraine. The response followed a recent post by President Trump, in which he warned that Russian President Vladimir Putin was playing with fire and claimed that without his leadership, Russia would have already faced severe consequences. Yuri Ushakov, a top advisor to Putin and a former Russian ambassador to the United States, pushed back against Trump's remarks in a televised interview. He questioned the accuracy of the intelligence reaching the U.S. president and suggested that Trump's understanding of the conflict is flawed. President Trump makes many statements, and naturally we monitor them closely, Ushakov said. But we increasingly believe he is not adequately informed about the realities of the Russian-Ukrainian confrontation. Ushakov accused Trump of focusing solely on Russian strikes, while allegedly ignoring what Moscow describes as repeated Ukrainian attacks on Russian civilian areas. He repeated the Kremlin's controversial claim that Russian forces are only targeting military infrastructure, a narrative widely challenged by international observers. His remarks came shortly after Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov declined to comment on Trump's statement during a press call, avoiding direct engagement with the U.S. president's warning. On the ground, the war continues to bring devastation to Ukraine's civilian population. Russia has recently intensified its aerial assaults on Ukrainian cities, causing a surge in casualties among non-combatants. Residential neighborhoods have been hit by waves of drone and missile strikes in recent weeks, leaving dozens dead. Among the most tragic losses was a family of 3 siblings, 8-year-old Stanislav Martinyuk, 12-year-old Tamara, and 17-year-old Roman, who were killed during weekend airstrikes. On Wednesday, their hometown of Korostyshev in central Ukraine came to a standstill as hundreds of grieving residents gathered to pay their respects. The children's white coffins were carried into the town square, where mourners wept openly. At the local music school they attended, a ceremonial last bell rang out, an emotional tribute usually reserved for graduating students, now transformed into a farewell for lives cut heartbreakingly short. Following Russia's devastating aerial assault on Ukraine, the largest of the war so far, which claimed the lives of the Martinyuk children, President Donald Trump intensified his criticism of Russian President Vladimir Putin. In a forceful statement posted on social media, Trump accused Putin of losing control and condemned the attack as senseless violence against civilians. "I've always had a very good relationship with Vladimir Putin of Russia, but something has happened to him. He has gone absolutely crazy," Trump wrote. "He is needlessly killing a lot of people, and I'm not just talking about soldiers. Missiles and drones are being shot into cities in Ukraine for no reason whatsoever." Trump's blunt remarks drew an immediate and heated response from Moscow. Former Russian President and Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev, now serving as a senior security official, fired back with a grim warning. "I only know of one really bad thing, World War III," Medvedev stated. "I hope Trump understands this." Medvedev, who once held the presidency during a temporary power swap with Putin due to term limits that have since been removed, has seen his influence wane in recent years. Once a central figure in Russian politics, he is now largely known for provocative statements and inflammatory rhetoric posted online. The exchange marked a significant escalation in tensions between Washington and Moscow, with Trump publicly challenging Putin's actions, while Russian officials responded with warnings of global consequences. Keith Kellogg, President Trump's special envoy for Ukraine and Russia, denounced Medvedev's remarks as irresponsible. "Stoking fears of World War III is an unfortunate, reckless comment," Kellogg posted, emphasizing that the United States is still awaiting a concrete ceasefire proposal from Russia. As the diplomatic war of words unfolds, the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine deepens. The Russian missile and drone attacks continue to claim civilian lives, with entire families being caught in the crossfire. The funerals for young victims like the Martinyuk siblings serve as somber reminders of the toll this conflict is taking on ordinary people, far from the negotiating tables and political statements.